Hello, once again. This is Reverend Amy Slater coming to you from my office here at Southgate United Methodist Church in beautiful Lincoln, Nebraska. It really truly is beautiful. We're having some gorgeous weather this week, and I hope you are all finding opportunities to get out into the fresh air, appropriately distanced, of course, but getting out in the fresh air and enjoying these signs of spring, which brings me to my first request here is I want to hear from you all. It's great to have comments on these videos, to hear from you all what you're up to. And this week, I want to hear from you on what signs of spring you have seen. Where have you observed new life coming forth? Where have you observed, spring springing forth? In our house, we bought a new house this summer, and now I'm seeing some flowers pop up that I didn't know were planted there, some bulbs along our front walk. So I'll be posting a photo of that in the comments, at least on Facebook. I don't know if I can do it on the YouTube one, but we'll try. But anyway, I want to see photos. I want to have comments. I want to hear from you. Where are you observing signs of spring and new life here as we are approaching Easter this Holy Week? Speaking of Holy Week, tomorrow is Maundy Thursday, and we will have a service live streamed at 7 o'clock. And you all who wish to participate will need to have some communion elements with you ready for our service, because we will be doing online communion through our live stream. So seriously, do not make an extra trip anywhere to go get the proper elements. If you have bread and grape juice, that's great, use it. If you don't have bread, use crackers or something like that. Even cereal, something with grain in it would be fine. If you don't have grape juice, water of course is fine as well, or wine if you got it. Just commune commune safely. Commune responsibly, that's what I was going for. So yeah, saltines and water is just as good as bread and grape juice, whatever you can find. The point of us not worshiping together is so that we slow the spread, and to send you out to buy elements is kind of defeating the purpose. So that's for tomorrow's Maundy Thursday service, live streamed at 7 o'clock. I hope you will be able to join us. To observe Good Friday's Holy Week, I encourage you to read the story in the Gospel of Mark of Jesus's trial and crucifixion and death. We have been working through the Gospel of Mark as we're as part of the narrative lectionary. So to continue that, read from Mark chapter 14, starting with verse 52. And read through the end of chapter 15. I think that's 15, verse 47. I will see if I can attempt to do an audio recording reading those. For those of you that like to hear it, maybe something to meditate on Friday. No promises on whether or not I'll get that done this week, but at the very least, I encourage you to read that on Friday. And then we have Easter coming up this Sunday. It's a very different year for Easter, I know. Perhaps many of you, like me, are having some levels of grief thinking about the things that you might have done in previous years, gathering together with family, having a big meal, doing Easter egg hunts with the kids and Easter baskets and all that. And this year is going to be quite different. And yet, I think it's important for us to remember that there have been years past in the history of the Christian faith where getting together to celebrate Easter was a difficult thing, and at times a dangerous thing. Throughout the years of persecution in the Roman Empire and the early years of the church, people gathered together in small groups in their homes, hidden away because they couldn't worship publicly. And even as they did that, Easter still came. There is an account in the Gospel of John how Jesus came to his disciples behind closed doors, and I wanted to share that with you This coming Sunday, we'll be reading from Mark's Gospel, but I wanted to share with you this version from the Gospel of John. You find it in John chapter 20, starting with verse 19. And at this point, the women have already gone to the tomb, discovered it empty. Mary has had an encounter with the risen Christ where he calls her name and she responds, Rabboni. She recognizes him, and then they go and they tell the disciples. So that same day in the evening, we now start with verse 19. It was still the first day of the week. That evening, while the disciples were behind closed doors because they were afraid of the Jewish authorities, Jesus came and stood among them. He said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. When the disciples saw the Lord, they were filled with joy. Jesus comes to us even behind closed doors. Easter still comes, even when our circumstances are challenging, when it's unsafe for us to gather publicly and in large groups. The risen Christ still comes to us, and he will come again this Sunday. I would also like to hear from you on how are you celebrating Easter in your homes? Are you doing any special decorations or other fun activities? My husband picked up some on his regular trip to the grocery store. He picked up some cookie dough that has little bunnies on it. So we'll probably be making little bunny cookies for the boys. But I want to hear from you all on what ways you will be observing Easter in this very different time. But just remember, wherever you are, Easter still comes, whether it's in times of persecution of the past or pandemic of the present. Jesus still comes to us behind closed doors and is with us always, particularly with a message of peace. So, my friends, I want you to know that God loves you, and I do too. And I will see you Thursday, 7 o'clock. Take care.